The Sacramento Kings are actually good.
What the fuck?
The Kings have shocked everyone and are actually having a pretty good season. Now, unlike Utah, which was one of the best teams in the NBA to start off, and they have slowly gotten worse, the Kings have improved throughout the whole year, and it seems like they're gonna be a playoff team. Listen, I know I made a lot of jokes about the Kings before the year got started off, but this team is actually really fun to watch. It seemed like the Kings were just a team that was supposed to be bad for the rest of eternity, but it seems like all those draft picks they had are finally adding up. Led by De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, this team has been very effective, and we're going to be looking at why they're so good. Because trust me, I don't think anyone expected this team to be good. Also, shout out to Johnny the German. This man has been begging me to make a Kings video for the past couple weeks. Because trust me, I've wanted to make a video about this team, but things just didn't line up and all this other BS. But we're going daily in December, so of course I have to make a video about this team. First, I want to focus on De'Aaron Fox. This season, De'Aaron Fox is averaging 23 and 5 and 6 on 52% shooting, with a true shooting percentage of 62%, which is by far a career high. Now, his stats aren't really anything different. However, what I'm noticing is stuff like his field goal percentage and his efficiency. De'Aaron Fox is shooting a way more efficient than he normally is. See, I've seen a lot of people call him a shot chucker, but I think that narrative is going away. The biggest thing I've noticed is he's finally becoming a better shooter, which is becoming very important to his game. And don't get it twisted, De'Aaron Fox is still very good when it comes to shooting at the rim.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
According to CleanTheGlass.com, De'Aaron Fox is making shots underneath the rim at 73.1%, which would put him in the top 5. I've personally known De'Aaron Fox as someone that is really good at driving to the rim and being a finisher, and it seems like nothing has really changed at that aspect. Also, his mid-range game is pretty good. De'Aaron Fox is shooting 52.8% on all mid-range jump shots, which is top 4 in the NBA. His bag is getting deeper. He's finally developing at things he hasn't been able to do in the past that well. Fox is maturing as a player. He's getting better, and I can only imagine him developing more as time goes on. But don't think De'Aaron Fox is the only reason why this team has been good. His development is helping, no questions asked. But I think we need to talk about Mike Brown. Mike Brown is different from a lot of the coaches that have came to Sacramento. I would say he's actually one of my favorite coaches in the NBA. He seems to be a real player's coach. I've seen countless moments of him going on the court and trying to help his players out during the game. It's some real wholesome stuff. And if we're talking about a basketball perspective, this man is one of the best defensive-minded coaches I've seen in the NBA. It's no secret that the Warriors' defense has gotten worse because of the loss of Mike Brown. But there is something that is a little bit concerning about this team that I'm not understanding. See, the Kings have Mike Brown, which, like I've said, he's a defensive-minded coach. But the Kings are 22nd in the NBA in defensive rating, which is way better from them being in the top 4 in offensive rating. I mean, hell, they're top 6 in the NBA in net rating as a whole. So it seems like their one weakness is their defense, which again kind of surprises me because they have Mike Brown. Now, if you ask me, I think they can work on their defense as time goes on. I think Mike Brown will bring hope to this team, and they're going to develop on that side of the ball. But something else about Mike Brown and the way he's been running things over there kind of fascinates me. He's trying to replicate the Warriors in the Sacramento Kings. No, I'm not joking. He's actually doing it, and when you break it down, they kind of do share some similarities. Sabonis plays that playmaking big man role kind of like Draymond Green. In fact, I'd argue Sabonis does it better. Kevin Huerter is a catch and shoot guy who can really make any three-point shot for the most part, kind of like Klay Thompson, which you could argue he's playing that role better than Klay has as well. And De'Aaron Fox, he's not Steph Curry, but he can play a role of someone that can take over the game whenever he needs to and is a real good scorer. Yeah, I'm not going to say he's doing it better than Steph because Steph is putting up MVP level numbers, but Fox is playing well for the role he has. Also, their bench and some of their other guys that don't get talked about, like Keegan Murray and Malik Monk, who I absolutely love, even Davion Mitchell, who I feel like he doesn't get talked about as much for his defense, which he's also one of the reasons why I think Sacramento will eventually get better at defense. Even when we break down their offense, I feel like the Warriors and Kings play a really similar offensive style. A lot of cutting, a lot of screens, a lot of plays that are being ran through their big man, and the handoffs. Don't even get me started on the handoffs. Also, the pace of both their offenses are very similar. I remember when Luke Walton was the coach of the Kings, he wanted to slow down the offense, but when you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox, that makes no sense. Like I mentioned, the Kings and Warriors are very similar in pace, as the Kings are 3rd in the NBA in pace, and the Warriors are 1st. If Mike Brown is trying to replicate the Warriors, players, I'd say he's doing a pretty good job. If you guys are enjoying this video, if you could leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it. If De'Aaron Fox makes this 3, you have to subscribe. Hey man, I don't make the rules. You guys remember the Tyrese Halliburton trade where the Kings gave up Tyrese Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis? Wait, I just learned his name is Domantas Sabonis, not Domantas Sabonis. Regardless, this season, Domantas is averaging 17, 11, and 6 on 60% shooting from the field. It's statistically not his best season, however, I will say his field goal percentage is definitely the highest it's ever been. But stuff like his points per game and his rebounds, while they're lower in stats, I want to remind you guys that he's playing a different role on the Kings, which I believe is one of the biggest factors, if not the biggest factor, on why this team has done very well on offense. Remember, this season, the Kings have consistently been a top 5 offense in the NBA, and I think Sabonis playing that playmaking big man role has really made a difference. Now, this team does have some weaknesses, but doesn't every other team in the NBA? The Suns are the best team in the Western Conference right now according to the standings, but their bench isn't the best right now. The Celtics, you could argue, are the best team in basketball, but Jason Tatum lacks consistency for an entire year. The Bucks have a lack of depth at the center position, not to mention they depend on Giannis a lot, despite having good players to support them like Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and Brook Lopez, who we need to talk about. Every team has a weakness or two, but that doesn't mean they can't be good, and the Kings are no exception. I don't expect this team to crack the top 3 in the standings, but best believe I see them making the playoffs for the first time since, when did they last make the playoffs? Wait, 2005? I was like 1 year old, what the hell? Now I'm not gonna lie, we need to see the Kings make the playoffs this year. Look, they're a fun team to watch, they have a lot of upside, they're a talented team, and I only expect them to develop more as time goes on. Also, who doesn't love when they light the beam? Light the beam! I don't know why, that shit is so cool to me. Now, my question is this sustainable? I talked about the Jazz earlier on in the season, and I thought it would be something sustainable that they could do. They have good players, they have a good coach, they have a lot of things that were riding for them. Unfortunately, I think the reality hit the Jazz that they're not going to be a good playoff team if they try to go that far. So I think management told the Jazz, hey, y'all gotta stop winning. What's so crazy about it is the Jazz are technically in the playoff hunt. Also, I think the Kings are better than the Jazz. I think Mike Brown's a better coach. I think they have better young players. I think the bench depth is better than the Jazz. I also think the Kings weren't planning on going for Victor Wembanyama. However, the Jazz at the beginning of the season were front runners to get him. The Jazz don't have a single all-star besides maybe Larry Markkinen, but the Kings have probably 2. And like I said, I only see Sabonis and Fox getting better as time goes on. Fox isn't even 25 years old, and this man is doing really good things right now. I have high hopes for this team, and I don't really see many things stopping them, because I see 2 things being inevitable this season for the Kings. I see them making the playoffs, and I see them lighting the beam when they do make the playoffs. I'm telling you guys have to pay attention to this Kings team. They're really something different.